Good morning guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be upgrading to the LED LCI accessory trim piece. The difference is the newer F30 models have an accessory piece that illuminates LED underneath it, whereas the older ones do not have that. So it's a pretty common retrofit. There are two ways to do this. Either you can buy the piece with the Y cable already made, it's like $40 more, or you can use the part list that I put down in the description and build your own Y cable. It's relatively simple, so we're just gonna build our own. It saves you about 40 bucks, and I think it's a little bit more of an authentic route to doing this install. So someone on Beamer Post already did this retrofit, and they made a list of everything you need. I'll put a link to the shop that I use to order all of my parts, and I'll also put the actual list of each part with the part number and the quantity that you need for everything in order to do this job. So let me explain really quick how this works. The newer models have this accessory piece, right? And it has this cable running out of it, where there's also the LED strip that runs underneath. So on our F30s, if you notice down by the cup holder, there's a little illuminating LED. What's gonna happen is we're splitting that power connection into this accessory piece. So what we need to do in order to do that is create a Y cable so we can share the power from that illuminating LED into this illuminating LED. Pretty straightforward. So like I said, you can buy one that already has the Y cable made for you. It's about 40 bucks more. I just thought it would be a little more interesting to make the Y cable myself and save 40 bucks. Why not, right? So it's important to note that if you don't have the lighting package in your car, it's likely that you can't do this retrofit, or you just need to find a way to get this accessory piece to be illuminated from some other power source. So if you don't have that little LED down by the cup holders, it's likely that you're not gonna be able to do this retrofit this way. There might be another way to do it, but you won't be able to do it this way. So like I said, I'm gonna show you guys all of the parts, and I'm gonna give you all the part numbers so you can do this yourself. So here are all of the parts that you actually need in order to do this. Here's the actual accessory piece that has the LED in it. You can see that strip on the bottom and the plug that comes out of it. And then there's 6 wires, and 3 of them have different connectors than each other. So we'll just say that 3 of them have a male and 3 of them have a female. And then you also have these 3 little connectors. 2 of them are the same, 1 of them is smaller and different. All right, so the first step into creating this wiring harness, you're gonna start with this tiny little plastic plug piece, right? And you're gonna take your 3 female adapters. The female adapters look like this. The male adapters are different because they have a long prong coming off of them. So female, male, right? So we're gonna take these 3 female prongs, and they're gonna be going into the smallest plug that you have. So you have 3 of them, 2 of them are larger, like this one, and then 1 of them is much smaller. So we're gonna take these 3, and if you look at the top of these little plugs, there's like a little notch, and that notch will go upwards into it. You're gonna hear it click when you plug it in. So get all 3 of those guys in there. Make sure they're snug, make sure they clip in. Just like that. So you'll know if you did it right because you should be able to see the silver tabs coming through the little plastic. That means that they were pushed far enough in, but you'll also hear a click. That means that they're secured properly. So the next step is we'll take our 3 male cables, and we're gonna be plugging those into one of the larger plugs. And basically, if you're looking at it, there's a really fat side, we'll call that the female side, and then there's like a male side that's smaller. You're gonna be putting these male plugs into that male side. They have a little notch on them, so they can really only go in one way. Click. So 3 of those in. Click. Click. All right. So we have this one, and we have this one. All right, so this is where it might get a little bit tricky because you have to do some splicing. So if you're not totally comfortable with splicing, you may just be better off buying the adapter that's pre-made. The reason that it gets a little bit complicated is we have 6 wires that are unlabeled. You wanna make sure that each cable lines up with its corresponding cable. So what you're doing is you have 3 wires coming out of each connector, each wire is going to be spliced together into one of these little couplets. And those couplets are going to end up going into this adapter. So this is how you create the Y cable. So basically, you want to keep track to which wire is which wire. So if I were to plug this in, then I would say that this top wire, 1, is going into this top wire, right? 1. And then the second one down would be 2, and the third one would be 3. So what we're going to do is take 1 and 1. We're going to splice these down a little bit so the wire is showing, twist them together, and crimp them into this little male couplet. And so you're going to do that with all 3 of them, and then you'll be able to plug that into here. Let me show you. So a good way to figure out how much you actually need to splice is if you're looking at the actual adapter, this little couplet piece, and you put the wire up next to it, you want the exposed wire to just be on the end here. Just this little end piece. The covered wire you want to be able to crimp. You don't want the wire to be exposed there to avoid any like shorting or anything. So only the end here, it's just a little bit that you need to have it exposed. So I'm gonna do some splicing and then I will show you the actual crimping process. All right, so we have everything spliced. Let me show you how much I actually spliced off. That's about how much I spliced off on each one. So like I said before, you wanna keep track of the wires. So if I have my adapters here together, we're gonna say these 2 bottom wires are 1. So I'm gonna take these 2 wires and basically just twist them together so they become 1, essentially, like that. We're gonna lay them into this couplet, right? And then what you need to do, if you have like a needle nose pliers or any sort of pliers, you're gonna be crimping these little tabs together so it holds that wire into place, right? And if you guys have a needle nose pliers, that's way easier. I don't have a needle nose, I just have this big clunky thing. So it's kind of like surgery. And just start crimping the tabs. You guys really want to make sure that you crimp this super well because you don't want them to come out and come loose when you already have it plugged in. That would be a major pain in the butt. All right, so all said and done, you'll have each 2 wires going into the adapter crimped nice and tight. All right, so once we have everything spliced, we're gonna go ahead and take these little spliced pieces and their couplets and plug them into this connector. So basically the male side is going to go into the male side. And the way that I'm doing this is I'm just keeping this lightly plugged in so I know which side is which side. And remember, you wanna keep track of everything. So you just line your 3rd adapter clip up to these other 2 and make sure that your 1 wires, right? So these would technically be 1 are going into your 1 port. So we're just going to go ahead and take these little clips and insert them accordingly into each piece. Cool. So we have all 3 in there. I do have a little bit of exposed wire out here, so I think I'm gonna take a little bit of electrical tape and just wrap it all together, just to make sure that nothing comes loose and we're not just letting exposed wire hang out. So now we have our Y adapter, 2 ends into 1. So that is basically the most difficult part of this whole process. The next part, we're gonna go out to the garage, into the car, and pull out the old piece. And I'll show you guys the difference between the LCI LED part and the stock one that my F30 has. There's obviously no light on that one and light on this one. All right guys, so we are in the garage now and we are going to hop into the car. I'll show you exactly what we're going to be removing. So here is the old trim piece, right? This is what we're replacing. You can see that little LED light coming out from underneath this little piece right here. So this is the piece we're going to be removing. Basically, in order to get this out, we're going to be taking out this whole top trim piece, which is pretty simple. It just pulls right out. And then we're going to be removing this little bottom piece right here. Very simple, just comes right out like that. That's actually the wire that we're going to be connecting that Y cable into and sharing the power from this LED right there. So then in order to get this actual piece out, there are 4 little T15 bolts. I know it's hard to see in here, but you'll just have to trust me. There's one here, one up above, another one over here. So we're gonna remove those after we take out this whole piece. This piece you can actually just pull out with your hands. So this piece up top, you just pull out. It's got a few clips. So once you get this top piece out, I just unplugged this little plug that was behind this piece in order to put it up there and get it out of the way. These are the little T15s that you're pulling out. So you have 4 of those. And once you get those 4 T15s off, this whole piece will just come out. And there's one very small plug that you'll need to take out right there. All right, so we finally got this plug out of the housing right here. And it wasn't easy. It was definitely difficult. And the way I did it was I just took a knife and I stuck it up on top of it and kind of slid it in between, and I just pried out, and it eventually just kind of popped out. You just want to be very careful. If you're using a knife, you know, you can break things, you can cut things, so just be very gentle when you're doing it. And the next part, we're going to take a trim tool and actually remove these 2 pieces from the accessory panel so we can put them into the new accessory panel. All right, so I effectively have pried out this piece, this top piece right there. It is a major pain in the butt to get this out, and basically the way you have to do it is I just used a trim tool piece and I started at one end and I just started prying, and you just have to work at it. You just have to find, when you press on it from the front, just to kind of see where it's being held into place. If you feel like it's being held in that area, you just kind of have to pry in that area until it clicks through. You will get it, it just takes a little bit of time. All right, so the trim pieces are effectively out. You can see that there's just like an assault of clips down here. It takes a bit of time. Probably took me about 15 minutes to get both of them out. Just keep working at it, you'll get it out. And this is the old piece, which is actually flat black. The new piece is like a gloss finish, and I don't do that anymore. So for this next part, it's kind of hard to film in here, but we're just going to be taking the old CD and AC part and putting them into our new trim accessory piece. They'll just clip in. All right, so we have everything snapped back into the new accessory trim piece. This one link coming out of here is going into my Y cable that I made. So we have a lot of slack in our Y cable. It might be something that I just tie together or just let it hang. It's not really a big deal. Just gives us more room to work with. So you have your Y cable coming out of the original cord right here in the back of the trim piece. And then you'll have one male and one female because we made that Y cable. So basically what's going to happen is this is the LED that we are going to be taking the power from. So we need to pull this out and then plug that into our Y cable. Once we pull out this little LED cable, we're going to be plugging this male into our extra female right here, and then we'll be plugging the other male that we have from the Y cable back into the LED cup holder light. So we're going to be sharing power from the LED cup holder light into our accessory trim piece. So once it's all said and done and you have them all plugged in, it basically, the way it's going to be running is coming from your accessory trim piece into the LED light and into the cup holder light. Basically that's it. And then from there we just reinstall everything. Make sure we tuck the wires really good. I'll fast forward to after we have everything kind of buttoned up. I'm going to just leave the plastic on. I don't want to scratch this when I'm putting it in, and then we will we'll pull it off once it's all said and done here. All right, guys. So we have everything in. We're gonna go ahead. Nice. So the nice thing about this is it's gloss, whereas the old one was a matte finish. So it just matches the rest of the trim. It looks so much better. Even without the LEDs, it just looks so much better. All right, so let's see what these lights look like, huh? All right, guys, so here it is. The LED trim. It looks so good. It seriously looks so good. The camera doesn't even pick it up. It's actually brighter than what the camera is showing. But man, I love it. So you still have your LED underneath here, and then you obviously have the LED under there. It looks so good, you guys. Seriously, highly recommended. So it's only about 80 bucks to do the whole thing. All the parts were about $80. I really think it looks good. I love it. So we're in the car with all the lights off to kind of give you an idea. And it looks awesome. It looks so much better. And for 80 bucks, honestly, I think it's totally worth it. I even love that the gloss black just matches everything, so it just looks so much better. And then just like the lighting too, just makes everything look so much more clean and modern. Alright guys, so we're back in the house now. That's the retrofit of the accessory LCI LED piece. Hope you guys liked it. Seriously, I think everyone should do it for $80. It's a pretty sweet upgrade. If you're not very competent when it comes to wiring and splicing, it's probably a better idea to just spring for the $40 more and get the one with the Y harness already. If you know what you're doing, you just save yourself the money and do it yourself. It's easy, it's very simple, but I definitely think it's worth it. So all the parts that I got, I'm gonna list them all down in the description. They're about $80. To get the Y harness with it, it's about $40 more. So anyways, thank you guys so much. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Please do like the video. Let's get this to the top of YouTube algorithm. Please do subscribe if you're new here. And if you're already subscribed, I appreciate you so much. We just passed 500 subscribers, on our way up. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next video. Peace.